Okay, let's focus in first on Portugal. They're going to be going first. Now, everybody's secretly plotting these things. You don't know where anybody else is going to land. I thought about Portugal as to what would I do as Portugal? Other people are going to kind of throw some dice rolls into things, but Portugal's kind of in that lead position. They know wherever they go, they get there first. So they don't have to spend a lot on, say, hemispheric movement because they pretty much know they're going to get to the locations they want and get there first. It may not be optimal, but they're not going to get a good chance to tell where other people go beforehand. So if naval combat erupts, they could get hosed completely, but this is their risk. They're going big, real big. They've got two explorers, Diaz and da Gama. They know they're going first. They're able to get some big scores here. What are their big scores? Well, they're looking North America, South America, and Central America are each 35-point discovery hexes. Those are easy to grab, and they're going to go for two of them with two explorers. What are other people going to do? I don't know. There are other things that are worth a lot. These land expeditions, the Pacific Ocean, but most of them aren't terribly valuable. Rio del Plata at 15, quite often I'll do a Portuguese or Spanish or something into the Rio del Plata to get the 35 plus the 15 for this hex and score those both at once. But I'm really interested with Portugal in this particular hex. So I've got kind of this powerful position where I know I get to go first. Usually Portugal doesn't get to. And I'm going to go for the treasures. I'm going to land here. I'm going to land at Chichen Itza. Chichen Itza, why that? Well, it's the other accessible treasure, other than the Aztecs, that is in a slightly easier location. And I can use it as a launching point into the Aztecs. So let's see how I designed my expeditions. Now, all I have is the 7 colonists I was given. I have to buy everything else. So let's look. I did Diaz first, and I'm going to send him to 3308. Let me zoom in on this so that you can see. My writing is not very good. 3308 is this one. He's going to be the smaller of my two expeditions because I think this one is going to have to fight the Aztecs, and it might be more of a risk with the Spaniards saying, hey, I'm already here, I'm going to go into that area. I'm very worried about that. I've given this one 3 carracks. Carracks are the larger ship. They can carry 2 people each, and they can carry 25 ducats. This is an important distinction. The caravels, the little ships, which Spain starts out with a freebie of, those can carry only 1 guy each. They're not as good in combat, and they can only carry 5 ducats back in gold. So they're a bad deal if you have treasures that you're going to exploit. Okay, so Diaz says, I'm going to build 3 carracks, and those suckers cost him $8 each, so that's $24 there. He's going to send 3 colonists on there, and 3 soldiers. He has to buy the soldiers, so they cost another $12 to buy. He's going to buy 3 bounds to get there, because this, in the northern, above the line, costs 3 bounds to reach. He needs a bound to discover the hex. He gets 8 movement points off that, but he needs to use 1 bound for that. So he buys 1 of them. That's 4 bounds. To return, well, that's going to cost him the 3 bounds to get back. He might go exploring up here, do something up there, but no matter what he does, he's got to stay north of the line because otherwise it'll take 4 bounds to return and he didn't buy enough. He doesn't want to roll on that big attrition table. So he's bought 7 total bounds. That's going to cost 14 more bucks. And likewise with the Gama, I did the same thing, but I've got 4 colonists, 4 soldiers there because I think he's got a bigger military problem. I can't exploit the treasure cities until I defeat the natives, but I'm hoping to get a start on that. If you look at the table, 3 and 4, well, anything but a 5 or a 6, I at least kill some of the natives off. And a 5 or a 6, of course, I lose a soldier, which would be bad. I have to keep some things in mind, but I'm going to 2222, the Chichen Itza. That's a little further, 4 bounds. I have to spend a hemispheric. I'm only spending 3 bounds to return. What's up with that? Well, I'm going to use my hemispheric movement to move from here out into the Caribbean. I may even drop somebody off on Cuba or something, because I've got 4 colonists there. I don't know if I need that many colonists. So I may be kind of spreading out a little bit. We'll see how that works. Total cost for the turn is 118 for the expedition. All this taken into place. That's a lot of my money. Leaving me with only 72 bucks. I'm making a big gamble here with this, right? If this doesn't work out, Portugal could be hosed for most of the game. I'm certainly not making 236 victory points off this turn. I'm making 70, but I'm establishing a presence in these locations where there's treasures, perhaps, and we'll see what happens. I kind of like the hidden treasures for randomizing things, because in the normal game, hey, I know where the treasures are, and they become much more fixed in place. But we'll see what other players do. We may see conflict right away, which kind of would disturb me. It's not the nature of this game usually. Usually you can figure out where the other people are going to go, where the people who have the jump on you are going to go. Alright. Okay, so I plotted out the rest of the people. Columbus, for the Spanish, they only have 1 explorer, is going to sail to Chichen Itza. Now that's going to create something that I don't usually see in games of Conquistador. Usually players are not willing to challenge right away, to go someplace that looks really attractive. Chichen Itza is clearly the most attractive space for the Spaniards, though, and they're not thinking the Portuguese want to challenge. They think that's theirs already. They've got the Caribbean, they want to land here, head up. This puts England and France in kind of a neat position. Neither one really thinks that they're going to necessarily get any of the bonus discoveries here, because what they're thinking similarly is, okay, Portugal might land here. They might go for Rio del Plata. That's 15 points. That's interesting. They're probably going to land in North America. Spain is probably going to hit Chichen Itza. So what do we got left? Probably no big discoveries. For England, that no big discoveries, 2 colonists, and the bad money situation with the graft, they've decided not to launch an expedition at all. And their colonists essentially go away. That actually happens at the end of the turn, but they're not sending them anywhere. It's kind of a, you're wasting something by not sending your explorer out there. He's only there for another turn. You've got a limited number of these, but you know what? You've got more. Portugal is probably the only country, and maybe France as you hit around here, who really, really has to do something. And the real question here is, how big a deal are those colonists were? Now the French got a decent amount of colonists. They want to make the cheapest landing that they can get something off of. And for them, that's Norumbega. They're making a landing here. It's only got a 2 bounds cost on it, which means they were able to, the Spanish paid 68 for a big expedition to Chichen Itza, and we're going to see a naval battle there, I think. The French were able to put together an expedition on only 54 bucks. To transport 5 colonists, they built themselves 4 carracks for that. The Spanish also built 4 carracks. They have an extra caravel. They're carrying 5 soldiers, 4 colonists, big group, and they've got a couple of missionaries assigned. Basically, they're counting on landing here, leaving a missionary there, which they have to do, and then sailing back here and leaving another one there. The missionaries stay face down until they land, so you don't know what you're getting where. They're not sure. They've got 5 troops for the Spanish. They're not sure if they want to drop all 5 here in the Chichen Itza, or if they want to use some in the Caribbean to help reduce the risk of a native attack there. That's a hard call for them. Got to kind of think about that. But they didn't want to spend a lot of money. Money is so valuable towards winning the game, and you never want to run out. as well, because if you run out of cash, you're basically trying to live off of whatever income you're producing. If you run out early, whatever income you're producing off the random events chart, which you don't want to be there, trust me. Players who get themselves that hammered are in trouble. So that big Portuguese expenditure may be a little dangerous here. All right, now I think we go. Yeah, don't have a lot of room for these, and I've shifted the board over so I have room for that. Now we go over to transoceanic movement. And each player in order is going to go directly where they plotted. All right, so we do. It doesn't really matter about the order thing, but 3308 for Diaz, for example. So he is going to be here. All right, and likewise, the Gama is going to be here. Columbus's huge stack is also in that hex. Now they will be ending up fighting because of that. And the French make it to Norumbega. We don't have to roll attrition yet. We don't roll attrition until actually after battles are fought, which is kind of interesting. And of course the English don't do anything. Now we're on the Portuguese. The Portuguese see a problem. Discoveries have happened. Okay, the Portuguese discovered Central America. Well, no, discoveries have not happened. The Portuguese will get Brazil automatically. But the question is where the Portuguese want to land with this fleet. They may not want to be in Chichen Itza. And I believe, I'll look this up, but I believe the Spanish cannot intercept them unless they move into a Spanish hex. Let's see if that's the case. So here's the thing. I'm going to play it that way. It's not very clear. In fact, I don't think combat can occur here at all unless somebody moves out and moves back in the way the rules are written, which would work as well. But here's the thing. The Portuguese have less here. They have 4 carracks, which the Spanish do as well. Combat value-wise, that's 32. But the Spanish go up to 34, and then the strength of the soldier units on board is going to be added. So the Portuguese definitely do not want to attack. They have 4 soldiers at 4 points each is 16, plus that 32 puts them to 48. The Spaniards have 5 soldiers is 20, 52, 53, 54. So if we went over to the naval combat table, the Portuguese would be attacking at 1 to 2. The Spanish would get to attack at 1 to 1. How big a deal is that? It looks balanced. It really does. In fact, it is even. If you look down at A2, D2, A1, D1, etc. Which means the Spaniards could take a big risk to drive the Portuguese off. But here's the thing. The Portuguese have some movement points that they can spend. So they're going to try to sail away. If they move... Now, their original goal was land here and maybe go to the Caribbean with some additional troops. But if they move instead... One thing they could do is make it into the Aztec areas, but then they still could be hunted down by Columbus conceivably. That's unlikely, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See, here's the problem. The Portuguese only gave themselves 1 bound of hemispheric movement. So they spent 4, 1, and 3. And what that means is that landing in the end at the Deep South isn't going to work. What I could do, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, is land here in the Caribbean, finally. So what I do is I'll move here for 1, The Spanish are in this hex. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I have just discovered Central America. That takes the 35 points away from the Spaniards. I gotta land here though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Well, I gotta land my folks here. I've got as many troops as the Spanish do. As far as I'm concerned, that's good enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I would not have been able to colonize the Caribbean anyway, because I don't have the movement points to land there. So, this is my setup, and I'm just using the Caribbean as a way to get home. No attacks on me. Works well enough. Let's go to my next player, which is the Spaniards. They're going to land their troops here. If they did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They could have landed here. Well, they still could. Let's do this. 1, 2, 3. Because I got to get a missionary there. Oh, I have extra troops even. Well, I'm going to dump all my troops here. I'm going to leave 2 of my colonists there. And we'll deal with this. I get that guy who is not good at wiping out colonists. And now I move here with the fleet. And my fleet's still a little bigger, so Da Gama is not going to want to land on me. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I could actually slide over here. I kind of like that location a little better for various reasons. And I spend 3 more movement to land these colonists here. And I get someone who's going to piss the natives off in there. And this is really hard to do one-handed with the camera in hand. But that's where we end up with that. Let's take a look at what we're going to do. Now we've discovered nothing here. Oh, I forgot to do the Portuguese here. Not a lot of excitement here. We're just landing for 3. And we're going to go right home afterwards. Okay. There's nothing exciting for them to do. They could go up to Guyana or something. Alright. English don't have any. French. Well, I landed here, but I want to get down a little further. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to discover. I like the Atlantic coast better. Who's got a pile of... I thought somebody got like... Oh, the Portuguese got 7. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not good. We'll go to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 8. We want to get our dude back. Alright. Now, with all that movement, what I should have been doing at the same time is checking my attrition. So let's start with the Portuguese here. They went here. They went 3 bounds plus 1 for the exploration movement. That's 4 bounds. Naval attrition. They'll be rolling on this table. They get a 1. That's not good. They're going to lose a colonist and their explorer. So Diaz is dead. And they're down a colonist. And thus are the risks of exploring, right? Let's go over to this other one here. Da Gama traveled 5 attrition points, which is a risky table. Of course, 1s are your only real danger here. They rolled a 6. That's an N. They lost a boat, which means they have to lose the boat and what it was carrying. Given the military situation that they're in, they're going to lose colonists instead of instead of troops, and I'll just keep all the dead here. Let's keep going. For the Spaniards, their trip was also a 5. They lost Columbus and a colonist. I'll take one of these two. I ought to actually lose a Caribbean colonist, because I'm kind of worried about a chance of a revolt down there. And then to the French, who only spent a total of 3 this time. They lose a soldier. That's a shame, but not terrible. Well, we'll see how the natives react to it. All right. That should be our naval phase for here. So now we're going to go to the land phase, and that's a good time for me to pause this, load up another one, and then I'll come back and handle that. I think the land phase may be interesting because of the activities going on in here.